guys! So one of the best things about doing a long-term study abroad experience is simply the time span. Like, you're not limited to cramming things in within a couple of short weeks' time. Time to space things out, plan some trips around your schoolwork, as well as make room for spontaneous experiences throughout the semester. And my favorite thing about a longer study abroad program is after a couple weeks, you're no longer that gawking, awkward tourist walking around. Because after a little bit, the newness starts to fade away and you really begin to get immersed in your host country. You begin to hear the history of the country from the locals. And one of the ways this happens is exposure to their holidays and traditions. Which brings me to Burns Night. Burns Night is one of those experiences that has definitely had a lasting impact on me during my semester here. And for those who have never heard of it, Burns Night is celebrated January 25th in celebration of the Scottish poet, Robert Burns. Some of you might have studied him in high school. And while some of his work was written in traditional standard English, perhaps what he is most beloved for is his use of Scottish dialect in his writing. I'll post some links in the description down below if you want to see him in action. And because of how he wrote about and embraced his Scottish heritage, to this day people still celebrate him here in Scotland. They toast, they eat haggis, they dance at a ceilidh, and read snippets of his poetry in between everything. Which frankly blows my mind that a poet could have this much impact on his country. So anyway, on January 25th of this year, Mac and I attended our school's Burns Night celebration. And that entire night has stayed with me now into May, and probably will for as long as I live. Because honestly, it's just so incredible to me that a country can have so much respect for one of their countrymen who didn't win any battles, didn't win any elections, but just had the ability to touch people with what he wrote on a piece of paper. So anyway, in late celebration of Robert Burns, here is our Burns Night vlog. So, we are about to go to Burns Night, and Mac and I are super excited. Alright, we are gonna get ready, and then we will see you. We are ready. Well, we are ready. We are ready. Woo! Woo! We look awesome. We're ready for Burns Night. Yeah, here we go. Woo! We are at Burns Night dinner. Right, Matt? Yep. Super excited.
Serve the national delicacy, haggis. Although haggis is known as a Scottish dish, it's rumoured that similar dishes were served in ancient Rome, Greece, and yes, even England. I wish you all a great night. Enjoy the food, the music, the poetry, and of course, be sure to raise a toast to the immortal memory of Robert Burns. Finally, before we enjoy the festivities, Jamie Grant, Vice President Communities at Stirling Students' Union, will deliver the Selkirk Grace, traditionally given in thanks and celebration before a meal. Thank you and enjoy the evening.
The Selkirk Grace. Some hae meat and canna eat, and some would eat that want it. But we hae meat, and we can eat, so let the Lord be thanked.
Now, pre-welcome the haggis.
Oh, your honest sonsy face, great chieftain of the pudding race. Aboon them all, ye tak your place, page, tripe, and dern. Well are you worthy, o grace, as lands my earn. The groaning trencher, there ye fill, your heart is like a distant hill. Your pin would help to mend a mill in time of need. But oh, so you choose to still, like amber, beat. His knife, see rustic labour dight, and cut you up with ready slides. Turning your groaning entrails bright like ony teach, but oh, what a glorious sight, warm, reeking, rich. Ye powers warm at mankind ye dare, and dish them out their bill of fare. All Scotland wants they skunking wear, the jumps and loggies. But if you wish her grateful prayer, ye her a haggis! He was in awe of this area that you are now fortunate enough to be educated in. He was in awe of great heroes of Sir William Wallace, of King Robert the Bruce. He was in awe of the battles of Stirling Bridge, of the Battle of Bannockburn. We lie here in the shadow of the Sir William Wallace National Monument. Sir William Wallace, you will know better as Braveheart. You are the only people that refer to him as Braveheart. In Scotland, Braveheart is not Sir William Wallace. That is reserved for Scotland's greatest ever king, King Robert the Bruce. Set your clocks for November this year. Netflix is releasing a movie of King Robert the Bruce. Outlaw King. Please watch it. King Robert the Bruce makes William Wallace look like Mary Poppins. But you want to know what happened here, where you've been educated. Stirling, 1 mile south of here, Stirling Bridge. The Battle of Stirling Bridge. The English invade Scotland. They dispose of our king. King John Balliol, a puppet king. He is exiled to France. He introduces a martial law. Weapons training was banned. Gatherings were banned. He introduced a system called prima nocti, which meant first night. The first night of a bride's wedding, she would have to sleep with the local English lord or English magistrate. It was, after all, his noble right. Many a fine Scots husband lay dead on his wedding night, as he would not comply to this law. To speak out against the English was futile, dangerous, be imprisoned, tortured, perhaps even killed. But one man spoke out on many an occasion. The English feared this man, for he was a giant. He was a giant in two ways. He was educated, second son of a minor nobleman, no real power. The power always went to the first son. But he was 6 feet 7 inches tall, when the average height of a Scotsman is 5 feet 2. He looked up to him in more ways than one. They feared this man, so they got to him through the back door. They kidnapped his woman. I say his woman, not his wife. There is no evidence ever to support that William Wallace was married. They kidnapped his woman, tortured her, raped her, and she was brutally murdered. Some say her throat was cut in full public view, but history tells us more accurately that she was thrown into a burning building. Thrown alive into a burning building. William Wallace was devastated. His devastation soon turned to anger. His anger soon turned to fury. He located the English magistrate involved, the Sheriff of Lanark, and in front of the sheriff's own family, he skinned him alive, fashioning a sword belt from the skin of the English magistrate. He must have had some pretty thick skin. William Wallace's sword was reputed to be 6 feet long. That is not William Wallace's sword in the Wallace Monument. That is 3 different swords welded together. The English invaded Scotland hunting William Wallace. Farms, houses were burned down looking for the fugitive, but no one would give up the whereabouts of Wallace. A refugee army began to form, but this was no normal army. This was an army of peasants, of farmers. Their only weapons were sticks and stones and farming implements. But their biggest weapon would surely be their courage for the oncoming battle. For they would meet the full English army at a place called Stirling in the year of our Lord, 1297. It was a Tuesday. William Wallace and his ragtag army stood on a hill just outside here called Abbey Crag, looking down in fear and trepidation at the vast English army, believing that this day would be their last. The English army numbered from some 50 to 18,000. They had at least 500 heavy horsemen, the tanks of the day, heavily armoured horses with heavily armoured knights. They had weapons which could cut through steel, lances which would pierce armour. No one had ever survived an attack of the English heavy horse. And William Wallace knew this. He decided to divide the English forces. The English were to the south of the River Forth, a river which meanders like a snake back and forward, up and down, creating noose-like bends, traps. There was one bridge crossing Stirling Bridge, crossing the River Forth, Stirling Bridge. An old wooden, rickety, medieval bridge. Wallace decided to make himself known by standing large and tall north of the bridge. "Ah, there's Wallace! Bring me his head on a plate," cried Sir Simon Surrey, commander of the English forces. The heavy horse would cross the bridge first, 2 by 2 as their status allowed, as the bridge creaked and the bridge groaned. The heavy horse would get to the north of the bridge. The land to the south was firm, fine and fair, but to the north of the bridge was boggy, wet, marshy, slippy, slimy, muddy. It was followed by thousands of infantrymen, archers with their fine leather boots, also getting stuck in the mud. William Wallace could not believe his luck. The English were taking the bait. They were being divided. William Wallace then made his first move. He called upon the men hiding under the bridge. From under the bridge, around 150 screaming, hairy, naked Scotsmen, the small dagger in hand, they made their way straight to the English heavy horse, thrust into the bare underbelly of the horse. The horse would rise up. The knights would fall to the ground. The lucky knights would fall face first and be drowned in the mud. The unlucky knights would face towards the heavens before being dispatched to hell by a hairy, angry, naked Scotsman. For the last sight, I must have been. Perhaps this day would not be the last after all. As the English were in disarray, William Wallace made his second move. I think he had a curry the night before. The rest of the Scots streamed down from Abbey Crag, creating a barrier at the neck of the noose of the river, pushing more English into the water. The English had a fatal flaw, was their defensive tunic, their waistcoat. It weighed 6 pounds in weight, would stave off an arrow attack, or a close blow with a sword. It had no defence for water. When the defensive tunic went into water, it weighed around 32 pounds. Their own defensive tunic drowned many an Englishman. What a godsend for William Wallace's army. More and more English crossed the bridge, as the bridge creaked, and the bridge groaned, and the bridge went. Don't give up your day job. And the bridge finally cracked and crashed into the river, sending many more English soldiers to meet their maker. The Battle of Stirling Bridge was over. The Battle of Stirling Bridge was won. Arise, Sir William, High Guardian of Scotland. William Wallace was not Braveheart. That was King Robert the Bruce. And at the King's deathbed, he said 2 things. 1, forgive me, Father, for I have spilt the blood of many an innocent man. 2, was to tell his friend Sir James Douglas, the Black Douglas, that on the death of his king, his heart should be removed and taken on crusade to the Holy Lands. The king died, his body buried in Dunfermline Abbey, his heart removed and taken in a casket through England, through France, and on to southern Spain in a place called Teba, where the Scots allied themselves with a huge Christian army to take on the Moors, the Saracens, the forces of Islam. There was a huge almighty battle in which the forces of Islam defeated the Christians. Sir James Douglas, the Black Douglas, was mortally wounded, but before dying, he took out the heart of his king and he threw it into the Muslim army, crying out the words, "Onward for freedom, brave heart!" And the Muslim commander said, "Brave heart, is that not a film with Mel Gibson?" He asked the surviving Scots knights as they awaited their pending execution, what did this mean? They told them of the sacrifice of William Wallace, of the loyalty of King Robert the Bruce, and of the tyranny of the English. The Islamic commanders forgave the Scots forces their sins against Islam. They were allowed to collect their dead for burial in Scotland. Many are buried in Roslin Chapel, just south of Edinburgh. And the heart of King Robert was then presented back to the Scots, which is now buried in Melrose Abbey in the Scottish borders. Robert Burns, our national bard, he often wondered what was said by King Robert the Bruce to inspire the Scots troops, heavily outnumbered, at the Battle of the Bannock Burn. Scotsman Bruce at our times led, welcome to your gory bed, or to victory. Now's the day and now's the hour, see the front of battle lower, see approach proud Edward's power, chains and slavery. War would be a traitor's knave, war would fill a coward's grave, was it base to be a slave, let him turn and flee. War for Scotland's king and law, freedom's sword will strongly draw, a free man stand, a free man fall, let him follow me. By usurpers' woes and pains, by our sons and servile chains, we will drain our dearest veins, but we shall be free. Robert Burns, the immortal memory.
So Mac and I just finished dancing at the Ceilidh. So much Scottish folk dancing. It was so much fun. We made friends. They were amazing. They taught us how to dance.
Yeah. Oh, it was so fun.
But yeah, we're about to head back into the freezing cold. But yeah, good night.
Good night.
See ya.